everybody, welcome back to the Evermore YouTube channel. This is Chris with your Morning Magpie, the 5th edition. Little news show. This is just to talk about the headlines that are going on in the news with all things Newcastle United, and we're going to get stuck right into that right now. So the very first thing we're going to be talking about is the fresh Premier League meetings that are going to be held and the anti-Newcastle United rhetoric behind it. So this is a column in the Times newspaper, which is apparently reporting there is going to be fresh talks and there's going to be a move by the Premier League elite sides to push through a deal that would prevent teams spending large amounts of money on transfer fees and specifically agent fees. And that would be all tied into revenue. So that would protect the likes of your big clubs, your Manchester United, your Liverpools, your Cities, your Spurs, potentially Arsenals as well. So again, it looks like another underhanded move by the greedy six to prevent Newcastle United and the project from growing even further. I'm going to be having a good discussion about that this week with a journalist in the Times actually as well. So make sure you tune into that. But yeah, it shows the Premier League are running scared of the mighty Newcastle United. So that's something we're going to get stuck into this week on the podcasts and the specials. Also, speaking of people speaking out, our old manager, Rafa Benitez, has been speaking out. So he's been talking, it's been going on social media. I think it was on Football Daily. Rafa was talking about, obviously, Newcastle United and what had happened when he was there. Obviously, the takeover. And he was just saying that he apparently knocked back an opportunity to leave beforehand. He stuck with the club, hoping the takeover will come through, and it didn't come off. It's always nice when Rafa speaks as well, but some people have already said it's a bit of a I'm available if things don't work with Eddie Howe type of a move. But I'm sure we'll be talking about that potentially. It might come up in conversation with the lads this week. But we love it when Rafa talks football. He's very, very good. Obviously, did a good job for Newcastle United. So we always like to hear Rafa talk football, but let us know what you think in the comments below about Rafa returning. I think that ship has sailed personally, but we'll potentially talk about that going forward this week. Somebody else who has been talking, though, is Big Dan Burn, BDB, and he's been telling us all to calm down. So this was after the probably the negative reaction, really, from the crowd, which I'll come under in a second there. So Big Dan Burn has been saying, as a fan base, we are like that. We always get ahead of ourselves. It's been that way since I was a kid. We have to be realistic, and the way we look at the takeover and how we're building the squad realistically, but we should have targets in our head. Europe is pushing it a bit, but we should be finishing top 10 comfortably. Hopefully we can reset after the international break. Everything felt a bit flat in the stadium, a bit weird after the Queen passing without the flags too. It was one of those days. So BDB is telling everybody to calm down, because the main reason he is telling everybody to calm down is because, if you didn't hear already, if you weren't at the ground or if you weren't watching on the TV, the Boos did return to St James's Park after our frustrating 1-1 draw against Bournemouth. We are going to get stuck into that on the Evermore podcast this Wednesday live at 7. So make sure you check that out. Whether you agree or disagree with the Boos, it is part and parcel of being a football fan, I suppose, that you take the rough with the smooth. And I think the fact that we're drawing so many games and people are expecting more, potentially that's why the frustrations have come out. But let us know what you guys think in the comments below as well. And sticking with the aftermath probably of the game, and we'll definitely be talking about this, is playing to Isak's strength. So there was an article that came out by Craig Hope, Daily Mail. Love Craig Hope's columns, normally bang on the money. But Craig Hope had said, and I think Eddie Howe and Trippier as well have touched upon this, that we need to be playing to Isak's strengths. So Eddie Howe was obviously quick to praise him, said we saw flashes of brilliance from him. I think Kieran Trippier said that, we're kind of evolving as a team and we need to play to his strengths and figure out how to get the best out of Isak. I think we all saw the game. We all saw how it was a bit starved of service. A lot of the passes that went in weren't really Isak-type passes. So I think that the squad need to potentially get their head around how they're going to feed that striker. We've had the same problem with Chris Wood as well, to be fair. We're playing Callum Wilson-style balls to Chris Wood, and that he's just not getting on the end of them because he's not a type of a player. So we'll definitely be getting stuck into that on Wednesday with the lads live at 7, and we'll be keen to hear your opinion as always. So one player who did come back at the weekend, which was a great bit of news, was the magic man himself, Bruno Guimarães. Get my teeth in there this time on it. So Bruno's been talking about his position and Bruno's magic 8 ball. So this is what Bruno has been saying about where he wants to play. We've all talked about that. We're going to talk about it more, I'm sure, on Wednesday. But Bruno was saying, I can play both positions. I prefer playing in the number 8, but the number 6, I think I can help the team go out and work more with the ball. I can play in both positions, and I think the gaffer has a choice. I can play in all positions in the midfield, but I play more in a number 8. So Bruno's English is coming on absolutely superbly, to be fair. He's only been here, Christ, since January, and he can already speak fluent English. But, what he's saying there basically is he prefers to be a bit further up the park, and we are going to get stuck into this. I think potentially we're missing out on certain players being available, John Joe Shelby in particular, which has pushed Bruno further back and maybe sacrificed a bit of his game. Potentially we should have addressed that in the transfer window. That's certainly the way I feel about it, because we know that Shelby gets injuries anyway. And I think that's what's potentially stifled Bruno a little bit, but we'll be getting stuck into all that, and obviously we'll be hearing about your comments as well. But feel free to comment on this video too. We always love what you do. We always do our best to comment back, whether we think Bruno should be a number 8 rather than wasting his time as a number 6. And we'll get a lot more out of that player. Fingers crossed. So that's pretty well. There's one last thing to cover about this. So I was just about to dive off there. But one last thing to cover is Botman doesn't return. So Sven Botman obviously was out with the squad, out the starting lineup on Saturday, which was quite surprising to a lot of people, me in particular. Eddie Howe was quick to praise Dan Burn and say that we needed his leadership and everything else as well. So there is question marks as to whether Botman's got a knock or he picked up a knock. I think there was some stories saying that he did, and then Eddie Howe came out and said that about Burn. But now Botman has apparently pulled out of the Holland under 21 squad, or under 23 squad, or whatever age group it is. He's pulled out of the international duties, and apparently wants to focus more on getting fit for Newcastle United. So that's great for us. We obviously want the Botman to be fit and firing on all cylinders, because he's been superb so far. I think this season, I don't judge him at all. Really. I think he's been absolutely brilliant for a young lad coming to a brand new league. Maybe a couple of things he's not been too sure about, and that's maybe why Dan Burns snuck back in. But, we've got 3 really good centre-halves now, so if you can rotate between them, for me, absolutely superb. There's even an argument to start all 3 of them really and play wing-backs, but that's definitely something that we're going to get stuck into on Wednesday night live from 7 with the lads, because we need to figure out how we can't win games at the minute. But that's pretty much all the news that's doing the rounds for Newcastle United at the moment. And just a little bit of housekeeping at the end here. If you like what we do, please remember to click that like and subscribe button. Really help the channel grow. I think we're on about 1830 subscribers. So we're not a million miles off 1900. So if you're new listening to this, please click that button. Help get us to 1900. And the next milestone for us is 2000, which is incredible for the length of time that the journey's, the channel's actually been going. So we really appreciate all the support so far. And let's keep supporting that team. We'll call United. And wherever you are, Magpies, have a great morning. See you later.